This is the Buffett Mindset channel where we practice patience and calm wealth building daily. If you enjoy these types of videos, consider liking and subscribing. This will mean a lot to the channel. What if I told you the doubt in your head was never yours to begin with? That it was smuggled into your heart like a thief in the night, slipped in by voices that didn't know any better, carried by men who gave up too early, whispered by folks who traded their fire for comfort. Think back on it. You weren't born with hesitation. You weren't born with a stutter in your soul. You came into this world yelling, breathing, fighting for air, demanding life. That is who you were before the world tried to break you down. Now I ask you plain, what happens to a man who forgets that? He lives cautious, he lives small, he builds fences around himself, not to keep danger out, but to keep his own greatness in. And every day, that fence gets a little higher, until he can't see past it anymore. Doubt becomes the air he breathes, and before long, he don't even know it was borrowed. He thinks it is nature, when in truth it was an infection. But hear the good news, friend. Infections can be cut out. Poison can be purged. Lies can be unlearned. And once you see doubt for what it really is, not destiny, but habit, you can choose something better. You can choose belief. You can choose to act like you were meant to win. You see, most men wait for proof. They wait for a letter stamped with approval, for someone richer, stronger, louder to tap them on the shoulder and say, son, you're ready now. But winners don't wait for permission. They don't wait for signs in the sky or applause from the crowd. Winners act before the proof. They build the proof. They carve it out with their own two hands. That's the difference right there. Doubt is passive. It sits, it complains, it blames. But belief, it moves. Belief builds barns where there's no lumber. Belief plants crops where the soil looks barren. Belief digs wells in the desert. Certain water will come. Belief acts not because the odds say yes, but because the soul refuses to say no. And I tell you this, the men who changed this world, who built empires, who led nations, who left legacies that echo long after their bones turned to dust, they all carried one common trait. It wasn't luck, it wasn't charm. It wasn't that the world smiled on them and cursed the rest. No, it was belief. Belief so strong that even when the evidence shouted against them, their steps didn't falter. Think on Buffett, the old man of Omaha. He didn't wait until he was rich to believe he could be. He lived like he was meant for wealth long before it came. His belief shaped his habits, and his habits carved his future. He read, he studied, he thought long term, while others chased shiny things and called it wisdom. The difference? He believed his way was true, and the world bent to meet that belief. Now let me speak plain. You were meant for more. Not because I say so, not because a book told you so, but because you can feel it gnawing inside you. That itch, that fire, that restless sense that the life you're living ain't the life you're meant for. That not frustration, that evidence. Evidence that victory is already written in your bones, and the only thing standing in your way is the doubt you inherited from men too tired to fight. So hear the call tonight, as the rain taps steady on the roof, as the fire crackles low, kill the doubt. Don't argue with it, don't wrestle with it, don't keep it as company, kill it. Starve it out with action. Replace it with belief so steady, so unshakable, that when folks look at you, they can't help but see a man who walks like he already won. Act like you were meant to win. Speak like you were meant to win. Invest like you were meant to win. Work like you were meant to win. And before long, you'll notice something strange. The world will treat you as though it were true. Opportunities will bend your way. Men will follow your lead. Doors that were once locked will creak open. Not because the world changed, but because you did. Understand this. Victory don't start with a trophy. It don't start with a crowd cheering. It don't start with money in the bank. Victory starts inside, in the quiet moments, when no one is watching, when it's just you and the fire and the rain and the thoughts rattling in your head. Victory starts when you decide to kill the doubt and replace it with belief. Now listen close, because this ain't just a speech, it's a reprogramming. Every word I'm speaking is meant to carve new grooves in your mind, grooves that tell you to stand tall when fear says shrink, grooves that whisper courage when doubt screams weakness, grooves that remind you over and over that you were not born to lose. So breathe deep. Let these words settle in your chest. Let the fire warm you. Let the rain steady your heartbeat, and hear it clear: you were meant to win. Not tomorrow, not someday, not when the stars line up. Now, always, from the very moment you drew your first breath. Now hear the part most men miss. They think belief is some loud declaration shouted into the wind. They think it fire in your gut for one night, then gone with the sunrise. But true belief, the kind that rewrites a man's life, is quiet. It ain't about barking loud or pounding your chest. It's steady, it's calm, it's deliberate, like the old rancher who knows the rain will come eventually, so he keeps planting, keeps watering, keeps tending the soil even when the sky dry and cracked. That's what Buffett understood. He didn't gamble. He didn't chase the hottest thing in town. He moved slow, deliberate, like a man who already knew the ending of the story. While others panicked in storms, he held steady. While others bragged about quick wins, he stacked quiet victories, brick by brick. That's how wealth built, not by flashes, but by fire that don't go out when the wind blows. And that right there is where you start presenting to yourself you were meant to win. Not in the big leaps, not in the lottery ticket dreams, but in the daily law you live by. You get up, you study, you learn, you act. You don't waste hours on distractions that don't build you. You don't feed the doubt by letting the world drown you in noise. Instead, you train your mind like a warrior trains his hands. You keep it sharp, disciplined, and ready. Hear me clear. Wealth is a byproduct of wisdom. Success is a shadow that follows discipline, and discipline begins with one choice. You act like victory is already yours. When you sit down to read instead of scroll, you act like a winner. When you choose to invest your time in building instead of complaining, you act like a winner. When you refuse to sell your dream cheap just because others laugh or doubt, you act like a winner. Most men never get there because they spend their whole lives waiting for certainty. They wait for the perfect job, the perfect moment, the perfect sign. But winners, they know perfect never comes. There's no perfect season, no perfect field. The crops get planted anyway. And when harvest time comes, the man who waited has nothing but excuses, while the man who believed has barns full of grain. Let me tell you something Buffett once said, a line that stuck in my bones. The chains of habit are too light to be felt until they're too heavy to be broken. Think on that. Doubt ain't just a voice, it's a habit. Shrinking back becomes a pattern. Playing small becomes your daily ritual. And by the time you realize it choking the life out of you, the chains feel unbreakable. But belief is also a habit. And once you start laying down that track, step by step, day after day, you'll build chains of steel that carry you forward. Chains so strong that no storm, no critic, no failure can tear them apart. That's how you act like you were meant to win. Not by one grand gesture, but by daily choices that stack until the man you used to be is buried under the man you were always meant to become. Think of it this way. You don't train a horse for battle in a day. You don't break a wild stallion by shouting once. You work him steady. You lead him. You show him who he can trust, who he meant to be. That horse don't know he built for war until he feels the armor on his back and the ground thundering under his hooves. Same with you. You've been wild too long, listening to voices that ain't yours. But once you put on belief, once you armor yourself with purpose, you'll feel it. You'll know. And from that moment on, you won't act like a man hoping for victory. You'll act like a man who was victory all along. Now let's take this fire deeper. Winning ain't just about money, though money follows men who believe. It's about character. It's about patience. It's about living in such a way that when people watch you, they see steadiness in a world gone frantic. They see a man who don't bend with the noise. They see a man anchored. You build that anchor through habits, through clarity, through refusing to play games you can't win. Look around, most men are sprinting after quick fortunes, wasting their lives on get-rich schemes, buying into mirages. But Buffett, he played a different game. He stayed in his circle of competence. He only bet on what he understood. He said no 99 times for every yes. And that a habit most folks never learn, saying no. Winners don't chase everything. Winners choose carefully. They pick their fights. They hold their ground. That's why when you look in the mirror from this night forward, you ought to ask yourself, am I acting like a man who was meant to win, or am I scattering my energy like a man hoping to get lucky? Because luck ain't a strategy. Hope ain't a plan. Action, discipline, belief, those are the only currency that spin true. So hear the law, and you'd best carve it in your memory. Act daily as if you were meant to win. Act in how you spend your hours. Act in what you feed your mind. Act in the conversations you choose. Act in the risks you take and the temptations you resist. Every choice is a step, and every step is either walking you toward proof of victory or dragging you back into the swamp of doubt that was never yours to begin with. And when you feel yourself slipping, when you feel fear knocking, remember this: fear is loud, but it ain't true. Doubt shouts, but it don't own you. You were not sent here to live half a life. You were not sent here to bow to chains. You were sent to win, to rise, to prove through your walk that greatness ain't reserved for a chosen few. It reserved for those who dare to believe it was theirs all along. Now close your eyes, friend. Let the sound of the rain ease you down, not into sleep that forgets, but into sleep that builds. Because even while your body rests, your mind is wide awake, taking orders, shuffling through commands, sorting out the truth from the lies. You've been feeding it doubt for too long. You've let fear hand it scripts it was never meant to read, but tonight, that ends. From this night on, you will not hand your subconscious defeat. You will hand it victory. You will hand it vision. You will hand it the law of a man who knows he was meant to win. And when the sun rises, when your eyes open, you will not wake the same. Hear these words as truth, not just sounds in your ears, but laws stamped on your spirit. You were not born to settle. You were not born to toil endlessly with nothing to show but scraps. You were not born to be another name forgotten in the dust of history. No, you were born with fire. You were born with a blueprint already carved into your bones, a blueprint of strength, patience, persistence. That blueprint is the same one Warren Buffett lived by. He didn't need flash, didn't need show. He didn't chase what glittered. He followed what was real, what was steady, what could stand the test of time. That same steadiness lives in you, but you've got to claim it. You've got to walk it daily until the world has no choice but to see it. So repeat this in your heart as you drift. I am not led by fear. I am not bound by doubt. I am built to win. Again, let it sink. I am not led by fear. I am not bound by doubt. I am built to win. When you breathe in tonight, breathe in belief. When you breathe out, let go of hesitation. Feel your chest rise and fall, each breath a hammer striking the forge of your identity. Slowly, steady, you are being reforged. Not a timid man, not a questioning man, but a man who acts as if victory was written on his name before the ink of birth ever dried. Tomorrow when you wake, you'll feel the temptation to fall back into the old grooves, the old stories, that natural. The chains you've worn for years don't snap in silence. They rattle, they fight, but you ain't going back. Each morning you will rise with a single question. Am I acting like a man who was meant to win? And your steps, your choices, your thoughts, they will align with that answer. Buffett lived by this too. He didn't need to guess if he was winning. His actions proved it. His patience proved it. His refusal to chase noise proved it. That's the kind of discipline that turns a man from ordinary to legendary. And make no mistake, you've got that same fire waiting to be stoked. As you drift deeper now, picture yourself standing in a wide open field. The night sky above, stars stretching farther than the eye can count. That field is your life, barren in spots, green in others, wild in some. You've been handing your field to strangers for too long, letting fear plant weeds, letting doubt sow thorns, but tonight, you take it back. You stand as the owner, the farmer, the builder. You take the plow of belief and you begin to cut straight lines through that soil, row by row, habit by habit. And hear the miracle, friend. The moment you act like you were meant to win, the field begins to change. The soil remembers, the seeds obey. What you plant in faith will grow in power, not overnight, not by chance, but by law. And when harvest comes, you will stand tall among men, barns filled, head lifted, not wondering how it all happened, but knowing it was inevitable. So tonight, give your mind its new orders. Say them clear. Say them like a man handing his destiny to a trusted messenger. I am built for strength. I am steady in storms. I choose patience over panic. I rise daily with purpose. Victory follows me because I was meant to win. Feel those words echo, not once, not twice, but until they settle in the deep places where identity is forged. This ain't pretending. This ain't playing make-believe. This is remembering who you are. And the more you repeat it, the more your mind will align. Because the subconscious don't argue. It don't debate. It just obeys. Feed it defeat, and it builds defeat. Feed it victory, and it builds victory. Tonight, you've made your choice. You've fed it victory. Now let your shoulders ease. Let your body sink into rest. The fire crackles low, the rain taps steady, and your spirit is stronger than it was when you sat down here. Tomorrow, you will wake different. Not a man hoping, a man expecting. Not a man begging, a man claiming, because hear me one last time, you were meant to win. Let me tell you something about the world, friend. It don't hand victories to the loudest voice or the fastest sprinter. It hands them to the man who refuses to quit, who refuses to trade long-term power for short-term comfort. Warren Buffett didn't get where he is by winning a sprint. He got there by refusing to be shaken, by sitting calm when others panicked, by seeing 10 harvests down the road while everyone else was grabbing weeds. Think on that. While men were wasting nights worrying over pennies, Buffett was planning decades. While crowds stampeded after noise, he stood still in silence. And in that stillness, wealth grew. In that patience, power multiplied. That same patience, that same refusal to bow to fear, it already inside you. Tonight, we're waking it up. Doubt tries to tell you that strength must shout, that faith must prove itself today, right now, or it don't count. That a lie. True strength whispers steady like this rain. Day after day, drop after drop, carving canyons, shaping the land. You don't see it at first. Folks laugh, think nothing happening, but keep watching. In time, the ground splits wide, rivers flow, and the whole earth is changed. That's how belief works. That's how discipline works. Not in one loud roar, but in quiet steps, taken daily, repeated till the world itself has to bend around your will. So as you drift, picture yourself like a craftsman. Each thought you hold, each belief you repeat, each choice you make, it another strike of the hammer, another polish of the stone, another stroke of the brush. Small things maybe, but small things repeated with purpose build cathedrals. They build legacies. And hear the truth. Doubt cannot survive in a man who acts daily as if victory is already written. It withers like weeds in dry soil. But belief flourishes when watered with habit, with repetition, with action. That's why I tell you, don't just hear these words, repeat them, breathe them, live them. Say to yourself now, soft but steady, victory is my nature, patience is my weapon, faith is my compass, I was built to win. Let that sink into the deepest corners of your mind, the places fear once camped. Feel those old camps burn down, ashes scattering in the wind. The doubt that once felt permanent is now just smoke, clearing as you rise. Now picture a man walking down a dusty road at dawn. That man is you. Yesterday he carried chains, heavy, dragging, slowing every step. But today he sets them down. Today he straightens his back. Today he knows he ain't a prisoner no more. He a builder, an owner, a winner. And every step he takes from here forward is lighter, faster, surer. That's the man you're waking up to tomorrow. You see, the world don't reward hesitation. It don't bless doubt. It blesses conviction. And conviction, my friend, is a decision. Buffett decided early. He decided he would not be swayed by fear. He decided he would not chase what others chased. He acted like he was meant to win, and the world eventually bowed to that decision. And don't mistake me, it ain't about luck, it ain't about talent, it's about principle. The principle that you don't let storms dictate your steps. The principle that you don't let noise pull you off course. The principle that when others lose their heads, you keep yours cool, clear, steady. That principle can turn a man into a fortress. That principle can turn a simple field into an empire. Now as the fire burns low and the rain whispers on, let me give you this last picture to carry into your rest. You stand at the edge of a great plain. In front of you, paths stretch out in every direction. One path is crowded, noisy, chaotic, men pushing and shoving, fighting over scraps. That's the path of doubt, of fear, of smallness. But to your right, there a narrow trail, quiet, harder. Few men walk it, but those who do, they reach the high ground. They see farther, they command more. They don't just survive, they rule. Which path do you take? The crowded one of doubt or the quiet one of victory? Tonight, you've already chosen. You've stepped onto that narrow trail. You've accepted the weight of discipline, the call of belief. And though it may be lonely at first, in time you'll see it the only road worth walking. So rest now, not as a man waiting for permission, but as one who already carries the crown. Rest as one who was meant to win. And when dawn comes, rise steady, rise patient, rise certain. For from this night forward, the world will not meet the same man it met yesterday. It will meet a winner. Let talk plain tonight. Victory ain't about one grand gesture, one mighty shout that shakes the heavens. Victory is built in quiet, simple choices stacked one on top of another. Warren Buffett once said, chains of habit are too light to be felt until they are too heavy to be broken. That works both ways. Bad habits creep in and bind a man before he notices, but good habits become chains of freedom, links of discipline that pull you forward even on days you feel weak. So hear the truth. You don't need to change your whole life in a night. You need to change what you repeat. You need to decide what commands your hand and your mind day after day, and you need to repeat them till they're carved deeper than doubt ever dug. Think about Buffett again. The man reads hours on end every day. He feeds his mind steady. He don't chase headlines or get distracted by gossip. He returns to the same principles over and over until they're not just knowledge, but instinct. That's why when storms hit, when markets fall, when crowds panic, his feet don't move, his habits hold him. His daily disciplines are the fortress that keep him steady. Now I want you to imagine your life the same way. Picture a ledger in front of you. Every day, every habit, every thought is an entry. Some days you've been scribbling losses, fear, hesitation, excuses. Other days maybe a win or two, courage, action, belief. But what if, starting tonight, you made every entry lean toward victory? What if every morning you spoke belief, every evening you replayed gratitude, every night you handed your mind visions of strength instead of shadows of doubt? That's the compound effect. Small deposits, steady and quiet, that over time build into a fortune greater than gold. Buffett didn't build wealth by accident. He built it like a farmer, planting seeds daily, knowing they wouldn't sprout tomorrow, but certain they would in time. You've got to do the same with your mind. So let's make it practical. When you wake tomorrow, before the noise of the world creeps in, I want you to say this to yourself: I was built to win. I walk steady. I live patient. My faith is stronger than fear. Don't just whisper it, believe it. Stand tall when you say it. Breathe it like fire. That's your morning investment. Then, through your day, when doubt creeps in, and it will, don't wrestle it. Replace it. Doubt thrives when you argue with it, but when you replace it with truth, it shrinks like smoke in the wind. Tell yourself, this hesitation ain't mine. I act as if victory is already written, and then act. Send the message, take the step, finish the work. At night, before you rest, return again. Don't fall asleep on autopilot. Speak victory into your subconscious. Tell it clear: I am a man of decision. I am a man of patience. I am a man who wins. Then drift off, knowing your mind will spend the night building exactly what you ordered. Do this daily. Not once, not twice, not when you feel like it, daily. Because victory ain't won in one battle. It forged across 1,000 small choices, repeated so steady that doubt runs out of breath trying to keep up.
Picture again that cowboy standing by the fire. He ain't shouting, he ain't rushing. He's steady, polishing his tools, keeping his horse calm, staring out at the horizon. He knows storms will come. He knows nights will be cold. But he also knows morning always returns, and he'll be ready. That you. That who you become when you act like you were meant to win. You see, fear ain't the enemy. Fear is a signal. Fear shows you where the work is. Fear shows you where you've still been handing power to lies. And when you see it, you don't bow to it. You face it. You stand taller. You remind yourself, I was not built for cages. I was built to walk free. And hear the miracle. The more you act like victory is inevitable, the more the world begins to bend to that truth. Opportunities appear where there were none. Men take notice. Doors open. Not because the world suddenly changed, but because you did. Because you walked different. Because you believed different. Buffett said once that opportunities don't come often, but when they do, you've got to be ready to swing. That readiness ain't born in the moment. It's built in the daily habits, the small steady actions that sharpen your edge long before the chance arrives. So sharpen daily, speak daily, believe daily, and when your moment comes, you'll strike with confidence. Now let the rain keep its rhythm, let the fire warm your spirit, and let these words settle into the deepest places of your being. Tomorrow you rise not as a man wondering, not as a man hoping, but as a man acting like he was meant to win, because the truth is, you were. Now I want you to settle deeper. Let the sound of the rain steady your breath. Let the fire crackle and remind you of the warmth you carry inside. For all the talk we've had tonight, all the wisdom, all the stories, it comes down to this. Victory is not something you chase, it's something you wear. It's an identity, not an event. Men lose themselves because they think winning is out there somewhere, hiding behind a door they haven't yet opened. They wait for luck, for the perfect timing, for somebody to give them permission. But Buffett never waited. He acted with patience, yes, but never with hesitation. He decided early on who he was and then lived like that man every single day. That's the secret. Decide now who you are. Then live so consistently that the world has no choice but to call you what you've already claimed. If you decide you are disciplined, then act disciplined. If you decide you are wealthy in spirit and will be wealthy in life, then act as though the fortune has already been delivered. The universe bends toward the steady hand. Listen close, because I'm about to hand you a nighttime practice you can return to, not just tonight, but every night you draw breath. It will shape you the way reading shaped Buffett, the way repetition rewrote his instincts, the way patience carved his empire. This is the reprogramming. This is how you kill the doubt. When you lay your head down, speak these words as if your soul already believes them. I am steady as the mountains. I am patient as the river. I am certain as the sunrise. Victory is not outside me. Victory is in me, breathing with me, walking with me, rising with me. Doubt is not mine. Fear is not mine. Hesitation is not mine. I was born to win. I walk like I was born to win. I speak like I was born to win. I decide like I was born to win. And nothing, no man, no storm, no whisper of fear will turn me back.
Let those words sink in. Say them not once, but until you feel your body loosen, until your chest lifts, until your spirit remembers. The world tried to teach you to shrink. It tried to pass its doubt on to you like a sickness. But tonight, here by this fire, you hand it back. You say, this was never mine. I will not carry it any longer. Now imagine yourself years ahead. You're older, wiser, sitting again by a fire like this one. You look back on tonight as the turning point. You remember the moment you drew a line and said, no more hesitation, no more borrowed doubt. From this night forward, I walk as if heaven itself stamped victory on my forehead. You smile because you know it held true, because your steady discipline built fortunes, not just of money, but of strength, of family, of peace. Buffett has a saying. Someone is sitting in the shade today because someone planted a tree a long time ago. Tonight, my friend, you are planting. You are planting habits, beliefs, and a new identity. And years from now, you will sit in the shade of that tree, calm and unshaken, while the world marvels at how you grew it. Don't you see? You don't need to beg for confidence. You don't need to pray for permission. You need only to act. Act as though doubt is already dead. Act as though you were meant to win because you were. And hear the beauty. When you carry that mindset, you give permission to others too. Men will see your steadiness and borrow courage. Families will find peace under your shade. Strangers will look to you as proof that winning was always possible. That what legacy is. Not riches alone, but the power to show others how to rise. So rest now. Rest not as a man uncertain, but as a man decided. When you wake tomorrow, you will not be the same. You will walk taller. You will act sooner. You will choose patience over panic, belief over fear, steady work over idle doubt. And in time, the world will adjust to you. Let the rain wash away the last traces of hesitation. Let the fire warm your resolve. You were meant to win, and from this night forward, you act like it. Sleep well, champion. Your victory has already begun. Now let me tell you something most men never slow down long enough to hear. Winning ain't always loud. It ain't always fireworks and trophies. Sometimes it's quiet, so quiet the world don't even notice. It's the steady man day after day doing the thing he said he would do. The man who keeps adding, keeps building, keeps compounding. Buffett knew this truth better than most. His fortune didn't come from a single strike of lightning. It came from stacking bricks, year after year, until the wall stood higher than any man could climb. That's what it means to act like you were meant to win. Not waiting on permission, not waiting on applause. Just building brick after brick, choice after choice, until the world looks up one day and realizes you've been climbing all along. Picture a younger version of yourself standing at the bottom of the mountain, eyes full of doubt. He wonders if he'll ever make it, if the climb is even worth it. Now picture the man you are becoming, the one sitting here tonight. He doesn't wonder anymore. He doesn't question if the mountain can be climbed. He ties his boots, steadies his breath, and starts moving step by step because he knows winning ain't about speed, it's about direction. Buffett said the chains of habit are too light to be felt until they are too heavy to be broken. Now most men hear that and feel fear that their bad habits will trap them. But you, my friend, you hear that as a weapon, because just as bad habits chain a man down, good habits lift a man up. And the chains of discipline, once wrapped around your spirit, are not shackles, they're armor. They keep you steady when the winds howl and the storms rise. So what are you chaining yourself to tonight? That's the question. Are you chaining yourself to doubt, to hesitation, to comfort? Or are you chaining yourself to the steady discipline of a man who was born to win? You decide. And once you decide, once you act, the chains grow heavier, unbreakable, this time in your favor. I want you to let that sink in, because the world is noisy and doubt loves the noise. Doubt grows in chaos, but victory grows in silence. It grows in those small decisions no one celebrates. The decision to read while others scroll, the decision to think while others shout, the decision to invest while others waste. That's the Warren Buffett way. Quiet victories repeated until the noise fades and the results speak louder than the crowd ever could. And here another truth you need to carry. Winning is not selfish. When you rise, you don't rise alone. When you win, you carry others with you. A disciplined man steadies his family.
A wealthy man builds jobs, opportunities, futures. A confident man inspires belief in men who thought belief was dead. Don't ever think your victory is just about you. When you act like you were meant to win, you become the anchor in a world of driftwood. Now close your eyes for a moment and imagine a life without hesitation. A life where decisions come quick, firm, unshaken. A life where setbacks don't cripple you, where doubt doesn't whisper in your ear. That's the life you step into the moment you say, I was born to win and I will live like it. You will stumble, sure, every man does, but you won't stay down. Not when you know the truth, not when you've planted it this deep. There's a power inside you that hasn't been tapped. It's been waiting, quiet, patient, watching, and tonight it rises. It takes root. The longer you listen, the deeper it grows. And soon enough, the man who once hesitated at every crossroad will become the man who cannot be shaken. Buffett didn't wake up wealthy one morning. He chose the path, and then he stayed on it. You can do the same. Wealth and money, wealth and time, wealth and peace, it all waiting, but only for the man who acts as if he was meant to win. So rest easy now. Let the rain carry away the last remnants of fear. Let the fire warmth remind you that power lives inside you. Doubt was never yours. It was borrowed, planted, rehearsed, but belief that yours by birthright. And tonight, you claim it. Sleep now, not as the man you were, but as the man you've decided to become. Victory already belongs to you. Act like it, walk like it, rest like it. Most men, they get tricked by the glitter. They chase the quick buck, the fast lane, the promise of something for nothing. They don't realize that nothing free ever lasts and nothing fast ever builds strength. Warren Buffett understood that the real gold ain't in the rush, it's in the patience. It's in sitting calm while the herd runs wild, waiting steady when everyone else panics. He once said the stock market is a device for transferring money from the impatient to the patient. Now you think on that a while. It don't just apply to stocks, it applies to life. The impatient man spends his days restless, doubting, quitting at the first sign of struggle. The patient man, he lets time do the lifting. He lets discipline stack like bricks, and before long he stands higher than the noise. Acting like you were meant to win ain't about gambling, it's about planting. Every choice, every day is a seed. Now you don't plant today and eat tomorrow. That ain't how nature works, and it ain't how success works either. You plant, you water, you wait, you protect that soil from weeds, and in time, it grows. A harvest worth the wait. You see, doubt is nothing but weeds. Left alone, it'll choke out the garden of your life. But a man who is born to win pulls those weeds daily. He don't let them take root. He speaks faith over fear, action over hesitation. That will keep the garden clean so the seeds of greatness can rise. Think of Buffett himself. Year after year, he bought businesses when others were too scared. He didn't follow the herd. He didn't listen to the chatter. He saw value where others saw fear, and he waited. And that waiting made him one of the wealthiest men alive. But hear the lesson. It wasn't just money he compounded, it was identity, it was trust, it was the habit of being steady while others shook. And that your call tonight, to be steady, to be patient, to let doubt fall away like dust in the wind. You don't need every answer today. You don't need every victory by morning. What you need is direction, firm, unwavering, like a rider who knows the trail ahead might twist and climb, but he keeps the reins steady and the horse moving forward. Act like you were meant to win, and the world starts shifting. Not because it suddenly got easier, but because your posture changed. You stopped shrinking. You stopped bowing to fear. You began to carry yourself like a man who knows the ending before the story halfway told. And let me tell you, that kind of faith moves mountains quicker than any shovel. Now I want you to picture yourself 30 days from now. Not years, just 30 days. What if every single day you acted as if victory was certain? No excuses, no half effort, just steady, faithful action. What kind of man would you see staring back at you in the mirror? Not the man of hesitation, not the man of doubt. You'd see the man you were always meant to be, the one the world tried to bury under years of smallness, but who never left, never died. He's still there, waiting on you. And make no mistake, when you rise, others will notice. They might not cheer, they might not clap, but they'll feel it. Because a man who knows he meant to win carries a weight that can't be faked. It in his voice, it in his eyes, it in the way he walks into a room not asking for permission, but moving as if the ground itself was laid for his steps. That what you're stepping into, that what tonight is about. Releasing the weight of borrowed doubt and strapping on the armor of belief. Speaking it until your mind obeys, acting it until your body follows, and living it until no one, no fear, no voice, no circumstance can tell you otherwise. You ain't chasing a dream anymore, you're living it. One brick, one step, one choice at a time. And when you rest tonight, you rest not like a man unsure, but like a man certain. Certain that tomorrow bends in his favor. Certain that victory belongs to him. Certain that he was always meant to win. So breathe deep now. Let the fire crackle. Let the rain fall steady. And remember this. Impatience is the path of the many, but patience, the patience of a man born to win, is the rarest strength of all.
Carry it, live it, breathe it. The world will catch up in time. Most men give up too soon because they never learn the language of time. They want the oak without planting the acorn, the harvest without a season of sweat. But time, she don't bend for the impatient. She bends only for those who respect her. Warren Buffett built his fortune not by running ahead of time, but by walking with it, side by side, year after year, knowing that compounding favors the man who stays in the saddle. Think on this: $1 today, invested wisely, grows into 10 if you give it the years. But most folks don't wait long enough to see it multiply. They cash out early, spend it on what fades fast, and then wonder why they never feel secure. The lesson ain't just about money, it's about life. Faith, discipline, habits, health, relationships, they all compound. Every choice you make either multiplies your strength or multiplies your weakness. And doubt is the great thief of compounding. It don't rob you all at once. No, sir, it robs you slow. It whispers in your ear each day, telling you to quit just short of the harvest, to dig up the seed because you don't see sprouts yet. It tricks you into thinking effort is wasted because results ain't immediate, and that's where most men lose, not from lack of talent, not from lack of opportunity, from lack of staying power. You, though, you were made different. You were made to win. That means you don't measure your worth by today's scoreboard. You measure it by the ground you're gaining, by the discipline you keep, by the habits you stack brick by brick. Winning ain't about a single day. It's about refusing to bow when others bend. Look at Buffett again. He bought Coca-Cola shares when folks laughed. He saw value when the crowd saw noise. He didn't just see soda. He saw a habit millions of people weren't about to quit. And he was right. Decades later, that one choice made him billions. The lesson? Winners see what endures. Doubt blinds a man to the long game, but belief clears his sight. Now listen here, you got a choice every morning when you wake up. You can feed doubt or you can feed belief. You can repeat the voices that told you not yet, not you, not possible, or you can speak the truth that was planted in you before the world tried to shrink it. The truth that you were designed to rise. Say it with me now. I was meant to win. Not later, not someday, now. Each step I take is proof of victory. Each day I live with faith is a day I multiply strength. Feel those words. Let them sink in. Because this ain't empty talk. This is rewiring. Just as Buffett rewired his portfolio by cutting out the noise and sticking with value, you're rewiring your mind by cutting out doubt and sticking with belief. That's how men transform, not in bursts, not in flashes, but in quiet, steady compounding. And don't mistake steady for weak. A river carves stone not by force in a single day, but by persistence every day. That's you. Quiet, steady, powerful. And over time, even the strongest rock of doubt won't stand against your flow. But hear me well, this path requires courage. The courage to walk alone when the crowd jeers. The courage to wait when others panic. The courage to trust yourself when evidence is thin and the reward still lies far ahead. That's why most men never taste victory. They lack the courage to wait it out. You got to be the exception. You got to be the man who carries himself like victory already been written. Because when you act as if you were meant to win, you stop negotiating with fear. You stop asking if it's possible. You stop bowing to doubt, and the world starts treating you like what you already believe you are. It don't matter where you started. Buffett didn't start rich. He started with newspapers, with pinball machines, with small moves that grew into big victories. You might start small too, but that don't make your ending small. It only proves that patience and persistence can lift a man from anywhere to anywhere. So rest easy tonight, but not as the man who drifts. Rest as the man who's sowing victory even in his sleep, because the subconscious listens. It don't sleep, it takes orders. And tonight, you're telling it something new. You're telling it that doubt don't own you anymore, that you were meant for victory, and that every breath you take confirms it. When the sun rises, you walk different. When the day begins, you speak different. And when the world tries to drag you back into smallness, you remember this fire, this rain, this voice, and you choose belief over doubt again. Not once, not twice, but daily, until the habit of victory drowns out every whisper of fear. That, my friend, is how you act like you were meant to win. Not in theory, not in wishful thinking, but in every step, every choice, every word. You live it, and the world follows. There comes a point when a man has to decide who he is without the world telling him. Most folks let the noise of other people write their story. They bend to their father fears, their neighbor doubts, their friend small thinking. But let me tell you, Warren Buffett didn't become who he is by chasing someone else's script. He wrote his own. He studied, he observed, and he acted with calm certainty. Now hear what most don't understand. Certainty ain't loud. It don't stomp around demanding attention. It don't need to prove itself. Certainty is quiet. It a steady hand on the reins, a gaze fixed on the horizon. It knowing deep down that storms may come, the trail may twist, but you'll still arrive where you set out to go. And doubt?
Doubt hates certainty. It feeds on hesitation, on the cracks in your foundation. It waits for you to second guess yourself, and the moment you do, it sinks its claws in. That's why you gotta starve it. Don't feed it with your words, don't water it with your thoughts. You feed belief instead. You water faith. You practice certainty not because the world guarantees you an easy ride, but because doubt don't get a seat at your table anymore. Think of how Buffett lived through market crashes. Folks panicked, sold their shares, begged for safety. Buffett, he sat still, calm as an old oak tree in a storm. Why? Because he knew storms pass. He knew value holds. He trusted his work, his patience, his judgment. That certainty, that acting like you were meant to win even when the scoreboard shows you behind. Let me put it plain. Doubt don't care how smart you are. It don't care how much potential you got. If you let it linger, it'll rob you blind. But belief makes up for what you lack. It gives you the grit to keep pushing when knowledge falls short. Belief makes ordinary men unstoppable because they refuse to quit before the harvest. Now hear a truth most won't tell you. Winning don't feel like winning at first. It feels like labor. It feels like long nights, like faith without proof, like sowing seed in dry soil. That's why the weak give up. They expect fireworks on day one. They expect the world to clap for their effort. But the man who meant to win don't need applause. His reward is the quiet knowing that each step stacks toward destiny. And when that harvest comes, when the soil finally breaks and the shoots rise tall, he ain't surprised. He don't call it luck, he calls it the fruit of patience. And that fruit tastes sweeter than anything doubt could ever offer. So tonight, you're training yourself. You're teaching your subconscious who in charge. No more bending to fear, no more bowing to hesitation. You're giving yourself new orders. I was meant to win. I act with certainty. I do not hesitate when my path is clear. I walk with the patience of time and the strength of faith. Repeat those words until they feel like your own heartbeat. Because one day soon, they won't just be words. They'll be your identity. Folks will see it in your eyes, hear it in your tone, feel it in the way you carry yourself. They'll say something changed in that man. He ain't who he used to be, and they'll be right. Remember, wealth and wisdom are brothers. One without the other will fail you. That's why Buffett built both. He didn't just collect dollars, he collected lessons. He read, he learned, he surrounded himself with sharp minds. He built not just a fortune, but a fortress of principles. And that's why storms never knocked him down. You need the same. Build your fortress. Build it brick by brick, habits, values, patience, belief. Then when doubt comes knocking, it'll find no open door, no crack in the wall. It'll turn away empty-handed while you sit inside, strong and certain. And when you wake tomorrow, walk like a man who already won. Speak like a man who already claimed victory. Work like a man whose reward is inevitable. Because the truth is this, doubt may visit, but it has no home in you. You were made for more. You were meant to rise. You were born to win. Let the rain remind you that patience feeds growth. Let the fire remind you that light beats back darkness. And let these words remind you of who you truly are, not the man the world tried to shrink, but the man you were always destined to become.